Vintage Nation, wake their ass up.
Southbound 85, I'm on my way. I'm going down to Georgia, got a pretty little song to play. Well, I ain't running, but I'm riding with the wind. And I hear singing, and it sounds like my friend. Hey, don't you know we're wanderers on a journey through the stars? Hey, don't you know we're lovers on a voyage in our cars? Never been the one to stay at home, be concerned, worried about all the money that I burn. See, baby doll, I just don't care. Well, I know I love you and you're always there. Hey, don't you know we're wanderers on a journey through the stars? Hey, don't you know we're lovers on a voyage in our cars? When that old morning sun starts to rise and I look down into your pretty eyes, with a kiss I can hear that sound. Reach for me and I'll come running around. Georgia got a pretty little song to play. Well, I ain't running, but I'm riding with the wind. And I hear singing, and it sounds like my friend. Hey, don't you know we're wanderers on a journey through the stars? Hey, don't you know we're lovers on a voyage in our cars? Don't you know we're wanderers on a journey through the stars? Hey, don't you know we're lovers on a voyage in our cars? Starts to rise and I look down into your pretty eyes. With a kiss I can hear that sound. Reach for me and I'll come running around. Close your eyes, look in your mind, see what is lurking there. Here's your future coming on like the lights in the air. I feel like a dog to the trees, dry my eyes. the least. I think I'll go talk to the trees, dry my eyes on the least. And your tomorrows are shining bright. You find you're running on the edge of life. And with your eyes, you can see the dawn. Your trouble's leaving, the winds are blown. I think I'll go talk to the trees, dry my eyes on the least. I think I'll go talk to the trees, dry my eyes. Dogwood's turning deep in the forest. There's fires are burning, and the sky is so blue. I will never forget you. I think I'll go talk to the trees, dry my eyes on the least. I think I'll go talk to the trees, dry my eyes on the least. I think I'll go talk to the trees, dry my eyes on the least. Waiting on a ride. Ain't seen one for a while, but here comes a smile. There's a man over there, he don't care. Here comes a lady with a frown, looks like she's slowing down. Get in, clown. Drive me away in your beautiful machine. Drive me away in your beautiful machine. Drive me away in your beautiful machine. tender laughter, happy ever after. Is this love? Drive me away in your beautiful machine. Drive me away in your beautiful machine. Drive me away.
Yeah, boy. I tell you what, that's the music of Terry Eckard. Those three that I just played opened up the show with is from Rebel on the Highway, his Rebel on the Highway album. Those are, you may be able to find some of that stuff on YouTube. They may be later on re-releasing the first two CDs, which was Angeline, the first one, and of course the second one, Rebel on the Highway. But yeah, that track right there was called Beautiful Machine. Before that was the track called The Tree, and we kicked tonight's show off with Hey, as in Hey, how you doing? Hey. And Terry Eckard. Welcome everybody to W.T.A.U. P Ridge, a nation out there. You got Papa Jack tonight, a special W.T.A.U. P Ridge Nation show as we celebrate the life and music of Terry Eckard. And also premiering the brand new Terry Eckard album entitled Silence is a Lonely Friend. And that's 2 volumes, volumes 1 and 2. Both are, there's 6-song EPs apiece. So that's 12 tracks in total. I got a special guest tonight joining us to celebrate this occasion tonight. And with that, I'm going to bring her in. Let's welcome Melanie Eckard. Let's get her in here. Let's see here. Let me get my stuff together there. All right, unmute my mic over there. And unmute your mic. And there you go. Melanie.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good. First of all, thank you for being here. And you know what? I tell you, Melanie, it's been a year. It's been a year, quite some time now, and the time is finally here that we are releasing the new Terry Eckard album, Silence is the Lonely Friend, Volumes 1 and 2. This kind of goes back a little bit before then, because I remember you had sent you. I was doing. You sent me the computers, Terry's actual computers that had his music on it. You was basically wanting me to, and what it was music, his music with the basically drum machine. You wanted me to enhance them a little bit. But what I found on those computers as hard drives were individual tracks that he did that maybe was going to be another album, I'm sure, because he wouldn't have had individual tracks. He wasn't going to put out another album, because I know Terry, he would always put out an album. Now, I know he was working on it long and hard when I knew him and was with him. So we found those on the hard drive. And what we did is, luck comes up. I got an interface and was able to get the means to record correctly the drums and all that and do the mixing and all that stuff. So we put it together, and it took a year. I started back in June of last year. I believe, was it June last year? And all the way till now. It's been a little over a year, minus a couple months. But now we have it, and what I say, thank you for give me the opportunity for this to be a learning experience for me, Melanie, and in return we have some really cool music to release. So yeah.
Yeah, it's uh I like to think that the music was the best part of my dad. And with you saying, he may have had in mind to start a new album, I believe he was working on that with my daughter. I think that's what he had in mind. It was a collaboration of both of them. And I think he wanted to bring in some of the old and bring a little bit of new as well, bringing in that new generation. And it really is priceless. It really is. And I really think that not just because he was my father, but I think he was really a musical genius, and his songwriting skills just surpassed anything that I can imagine. Because when he passed away, it was like I started listening to it and all the different versions of songs and things, and it just like, wow, he just sat in his studio and he just did this for hours on end.
Yeah, and you know what? We were talking earlier, um, and the way Terry did like the last two albums, Angeline and Rebel on the Highway, and these too, the way he recorded these, he had, and for you gearheads, I promised you gearheads out there some information on this. He had a Windows Me computer, Windows Me. Now get this, Windows Me, and not XP, Windows Me, and somehow he had a console, recording console, a soundboard. What kind was it? I can't even remember what kind of board it was, Melanie. We've seen it.
I'm really not sure.
I've
I'm
seen it
really
a
not
million
sure.
times. Yeah.
He was amazing in the fact he took equipment that was probably mid 80s. He ran it through that, what you said, through the computer. He digitized everything himself.
Yeah.
And the music, like I told you earlier, it came out sounding just like it was recorded in a large professional studio. And most people can't do that.
And it was, I think maybe it was ADATs he was running.
Probably.
I'm not quite sure because, and believe me, I was there in the studio bunches of times, but I really never paid attention. I remember the board. I remember it. I know he had some ADAT. Somehow he was getting it into that computer.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you guys, like Rich, all you guys probably know how he did it. But yeah, somehow he was out. It might have been ADATs. But and by the way, I'm not the chat for Twitch is kind of limited for me right now because I'm kind of limited to two monitors. So one monitor has their Zoom or StreamYard up, and the other has all my other stuff I have to do. So, and thank you guys at Twitch for being here tonight. Thank you so much. But yeah, somehow he did that, man, and it just, I mean, it come out. He made it work. He made it
He
work.
absolutely did.
Yeah.
He absolutely did. And, um, you know, a little bit of the history of my dad, like, he started out in high school band, and he was like the band nerd, the acne, the big glasses, all that. And he learned how to read music. And he had told me, he had purchased a guitar out of a pawn shop and taught himself. So this was years of practice to master that skill, because you're talking about a 40-some-year span. I mean, they called him Lightning and the Boogie Woogie Blues Man. And if you watch his style of playing the guitar, I mean, it's something that you really don't see. It was a passion.
Melanie, I do remember, and my wife, Mel, my wife's named Mel too. My wife, Mel, she always told me, you haven't got to be able to really sit and watch Terry play because you're in the back playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of witnessed it a little bit, but when I really noticed something about, well, I noticed something about him was special anyway when I joined up with him. But when we did this gig, we did a gig in Maryville, Tennessee. It was a line of blues clubs. It was like a bunch of them, but we played the one in Maryville, Tennessee, and that place was packed to the gills. It's probably one of the biggest crowds we ever played to. And I remember all these people coming over on Terry's side of the stage. You know, we were a three-piece, so you know, you had Steve over here, me in the middle, and Terry over here on this side. Everybody swamped over to Terry's side, man, and they was just watching him. And I saw you because you know when you're playing, you kind of everything's kind of slow motion. You kind of looking around, but I looked up and I saw all these people looking at Terry and watching him, man. And he was just, I mean, just, and they were just like, just digging it, you know. And they were looking at us too, but they were mainly checking out Terry, man.
People would
Yeah,
say he made it talk, the guitar talk, and if you've ever watched some of his videos, it's like he literally felt the music, the rhythm. It was just like running through him when he played.
yeah. It really had, yeah, it had. And the thing of Terry, Um, the way Terry created, he didn't just. I mean, the way he told us is we because like many a nights riding in the we call it the Tev van, you know, because we had a van and we had the equipment in the back and we all rode in the van to gigs. But what he would tell me a lot of times that he didn't just like go in and create something. He would create something and then put something down and leave it alone for about a month, you know, and go
Mhm.
back to something else and then come back to that and add something to that, you know,
I
and
think you have to do that as a great musician because you kind of compartmentalize that. And with working on songs and laying tracks, you do one part of it and you get some distance from that. So you go back in there with a fresh perspective for the next thing to add.
right, yeah,
And a lot of times he would go work on, he would finish the one thing and then go work on some art. So, something he expressed to me is like, it gave you that mental break, but yet he was still working on like an art piece or something. So it, he was just always open with expression. And that's what the music was. It was just his way of expressing himself.
yeah. He was a great painter as well. He's got some great artwork that was, and you still have them, Melanie. It was in his
I
house,
do.
yeah, and it is amazing. And I never got to sit and watch him paint. I think he did that in private, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that was like his downtime.
yeah,
But um, growing up the way he did, he was completely opposite of everybody else. He was one of the first people to pull out the album of Jimi Hendrix to all his high school friends. He was like just like blown away by Jimi Hendrix, the style of the music. And I think it's just something that is a gift that you're born with. And then he perfected it. The
yeah.
songwriting, though, was just a story.
I know
You just a
yeah,
long story.
right, and I know he was very much influenced by Jimi Hendrix, and you know Terry liked all kind of music. It wasn't just blues or
Hmm.
he liked all kind of music. I remember, um, and I'll quote Terry. I'll quote your dad when we did this gig. Um, he was talking to one of his friends, you know, because Terry had a lot of friends he talked to, and he was talking about one of my friends went and played jazz. He said, "Well, that's all good and well, but if you start playing jazz around here, you're gonna lose all your friends." Yeah, yeah. He
Well,
did
I
it.
had an incident. My oldest daughter, it's kind of funny now looking back. My dad started singing a country song and playing it on the acoustical guitar. And my oldest daughter just looks at him like, "Papa, you know country music?" And he told her, he said, to be a good musician, you have to appreciate all types of music. And, he taught me that as a kid too. I mean, he didn't have a particular favorite, I don't think. He liked all kinds of music. And I think he just had the appreciation for each artist for what they were creating,
Right.
their message in the music.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I remember, I had such a diverse childhood because I'm in a music studio. I'm 3 years old and I'm learning to run sound and I'm testing mics and it was different. but I'm like I was telling you earlier, I have met so many people, and you know, my dad gave me this open mindedness, you know, to learn, to appreciate people for who they are, and I think you know that's something that was passed down to my daughter as well, both of them.
Your
Uh,
dad met a lot of people. Tell
mhm.
tell tell us some of the people that you met too through your dad.
Uh, let's see. I met Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. I met Percy Sledge. Um, I met Eddie Money. I heard it on the phone. I didn't actually get to meet him, but the Doobie Brothers when he was opening down there. It's so many different people, and you know, the thing about my dad is they saw him as friends. You know, we'd see him, oh my God, that's a celebrity. That's such and such. And he was like, oh no, that's my buddy. He plays such and such. He's pretty good. You know, he was
That's
just a
what the,
very
yeah.
humble country boy that just learned an appreciation for music, and he utilized his gift to make money. And not many people can say that they do what they love, but he did.
Yeah, you mentioned Eddie Money. Now see, they did this before I joined up. See, I joined Terry's band right after Rebel on the Highway was released. I believe that was 2010.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I come in, about 2010. But before I joined, they did. They opened up for the Doobie Brothers, House of Blues at Myrtle Beach. They also opened up for Eddie Money at House of Blues in Myrtle Beach. And the story is that Terry and Eddie got along. They hit it off really well, and they exchanged
Mm-hmm.
phone numbers. And I remember riding in the van home from a gig to a gig, and Terry got on the phone with Eddie Money, and they were sitting there talking. You know, and Terry was basically saying that Eddie was asking if he ever played golf, and then Terry was like, I don't do a bunch of golf, and then and Eddie was like, Terry, you should play golf. It eases your mind, you know. So, yeah, yeah. But
Well, he liked baseball, and he was a diehard Carolina fan.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he wasn't really into the golf scene. That's kind of a yuppie thing he would say because he was hippie. So you know.
yeah.
But the remarkable thing I think about Dad was he just attracted all different types of people. Not only the people were diverse, but the music he played was diverse. He never really stuck with one certain type of music. He did blues, he did southern rock, he did a touch of country, he did love songs, you know. He even went as far as to just do instrumentals, and they were beautifully done.
Yeah.
It's I guess it's just what inspired him at that time.
Do you have
And
it?
you can tell through the music, you know, he different times in his life kind of what was on his mind.
Right. Melanie, do you have a storm your way?
I do. I absolutely do. It's
Oh, we got it pretty gnarly looking out here. I just hope we don't lose power. Why does it have to happen during showtime? Every time it seems like
the
the last
devil is
few weeks.
busy. The devil
Yeah,
is busy.
yeah. But you know, I mentioned Eddie Money. We're gonna send Mrs. Money the copy of the new album.
That's great.
Yeah, she's excited. We're excited to get that to her as well. She's been very nice, and very nice lady she is. So yeah, we're definitely gonna give her that, and also I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the news now, Melanie. I've had some Terry Eckard fans reaching out to me the last couple of days when they found out this was gonna go on the show. They just come add me as a friend and on my W.T.A.U. Facebook page. But yeah, and they're really excited about the new Terry Eckard that they wanting to hear. So what I've decided to do is the new album, both volumes are available now on my Bandcamp. It will be available on YouTube Monday.
Awesome.
Okay. So you guys out there listening, if you want to go pick it up now or check it out, it's over at my Bandcamp. It's mikesherrill.bandcamp.com. I was going to wait and release it tomorrow, but I was like, why not? We're doing the show. We're doing the premiere party tonight. Why not now? So there we go.
Right.
So it's ready to go. But like I said, it will be available on YouTube as well Monday. So there you go, man.
And my
Gonna,
family with the Goodbye Kentucky, they're ecstatic that my father did that and it's been remastered. And I just want to give a shout out to my grandmother and my uncle and my aunt, my cousins. Um, I really am glad that he did that song, and it's really a legacy for my entire family, and we're thankful that it was remastered and coming out like that. It's very special to us.
well, I have to give a big shout out, Melanie, to Mr. Richard J. Basinger. Richard, man, I couldn't done it. Really, I mean, mixed it and all that I did, but I couldn't have it sounding as good as it did without Richard out of High Desert Sound, New Mexico. Richard did a wonderful, splendid job on the mastering, and I want to thank Richard for helping me out, man. It's been great, and I'll always like. Well,
Thank you very much.
and
That
also,
was
also,
great.
Richard also provided bass on one of the tracks that we'll hear tonight. So it's a lot of fun, man. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, man, a year doing this, and trust me, Melanie, it was really emotional for me too. Um,
Yes, it's been emotional for us all. We lost Aden and we lost Ashton, and with Ashton being in some of the background vocals, we feel, this is a gift. And she has a daughter, and she can look back one day and hear her mother and her great grandpa, and I think it's amazing because that's the thing about music, is that it doesn't go away.
right.
Through the generations, it's music is here to stay.
Yeah, I remember when I was tracking. What was song was it? I was tracking. Well, I wasn't really tracking. I was name. It's an acoustic type thing, and there was a few times that I kind of just broke down in some tears, because I was remembering
It's so
Terry.
powerful.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
instrumentals are kind of like some people feel about the opera. It's just so it just is so profound. It just touches you in a way that you probably can't even put into words. It's
no,
I think one of them, and it goes more to the Hispanic type of music, was called Maria's Fire.
right. That's off the Rebel
And
on the
what's
Highway. Yeah.
crazy about that is my granddaughter's middle name, and that's a great song. It's very powerful. You just listen to the music, and it moves you. You can, with the instrumentals, it could either make you really happy, or it could take you into a deep thought. But it
Melanie,
has been emotional for everyone.
and I noticed, and you were mentioning about the Spanish type thing. I picked up on that on a lot of Terry's playing. He was very influenced by that type of
Hmm.
that. Yeah, he was really into that. I noticed that as well.
That goes back to the appreciation for all types of music. If it was a good song or a good musician, he had high respect for that, and he liked learning from others. Not to say he wasn't critical at times, but um, if he saw something in you, he really paid attention, and he enjoyed learning. Like with you, like we all know that he loved you as a friend, and your skills as a drummer was just amazing to him. He was just very proud of you, and he bragged on you quite a bit.
Yeah, I love Terry. Uh, you know what? Terry taught me a lot. I learned a lot from that man um, about even tracking, recording. Uh, he would tell me, like, just lay back on this, because Terry was different. He was different live than he was in the studio, and that's probably the common case with a lot of people. But he was different on live than he was in studio. In the studio, he was more reserved. He was, as
Mhm.
far as creating, he was more reserved. He didn't want drums going all over the place. I mean, if it fit the song, that's fine. But he didn't want, he had a vision of what he wanted, and it was like, he would explain, and it really didn't take much to explain, and I kind of got it, and then he was like, hell, man, live, man, just go off, man, that's what he'd tell me. We
And
live,
he
man,
did have
yeah.
that skill to listen to something, and he knew if something was missing, if you needed to, like you said, take something down a notch, or increase it or level the background singing. He knew the sound, and that is one of the things that makes a great musician and a songwriter. They can take that song, those tracks, and they mix it so perfectly because they are visionaries. The best musicians are. I mean, they really know how to mix the sound in a way that is the expression of what they're trying to say in the song.
Right. Also, being playing live and stuff like that, I mean, it was totally different because we would go, I mean, we would play a song like, say I played The Tree earlier, we
Hmm.
would play something like that live, and then Terry always wanted me to do a drum solo in that song. It never failed. It's like, man, I want you to do drum solo in The Tree. That's the trademark right there. I want you to do it. And we would. And then, like, say, Beautiful Machine, we would play that, and then we would just go into this off the wall, just jam. And
Hmm.
at what would be about a 5 or so minute song would turn into about, 15 minutes because we're just so into it. And Terry just look over, man, and just go for it. And then he'd come up with this little thing that goes completely off from the lead, and it's totally something different, and we'd jam on that for a long time. Terry's guitars, he had some great guitars, and the guitars that he loved and the ones he wanted to keep playing, he had a little ritual. What he would do, and you know about this, Melanie, he had a little ritual. If he liked the guitar very much, he would put a feather
Yes, sir.
around the neck and keep that
There's
feather.
actually one that's hung in the Mac Speedway in Charlotte, the south end of Charlotte, with the feathers on it. Yeah, it was like a good luck charm to him because he kind of resonated with the Indian deal. But as far as being a showman, I think he had you do that for the dazzling the crowd, and it piqued their interest. But one thing I always noticed about my dad, even as a child, um, he would start off some songs very slow, and everybody's like, in the club, like, what's this, and getting bored and stuff. And then he just laid into them because he liked to thrill them,
Yeah,
And
even
even with some of the tracks, he'll start off really, really slow in the music, and then he'll just burn it up, and it just piques your interest. I mean, he was a showman.
yeah. Got a little funny story about our little adventure in where was that? It was in High Point, North Carolina. We did a gig. Nels already laughing over there. But we did a gig. It was a Halloween party at High Point, some club. It was, High Point's just, it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was like, where is this? It's used to be a big
Hmm.
furniture place, but it's out of, the furniture sold off, and it's kind of like a ghost town now. It was then. But
Right.
we played this club there, and this guy that owned the club was dressed as a zombie. We called him the Hungry Zombie, and the reason we called him the Hungry Zombie is because most of the places we go play had food. They'd feed the band or whatever. He
Right.
didn't. He did not have any food. And the people that were coming in, this was a Halloween party, for God's sakes. What are you doing? The people that are coming in, where was the food? Well, we're going down the road here because they're having burgers and hot dogs and stuff, man. And then one of the bouncers at the club said, "Man, I don't know why you don't have any food here, man. He's got like 3 damn grills out there in the back, and You know, he could have had put some chicken or something on for everybody. You know, it's Halloween, man. It's a party, you know. But what happened was, long story short, so we decided we had to go get something to eat before we went on stage, man, 'cause we had nothing to eat all day. Then we rode around with Terry. I think Steve stayed at the club, but me and Terry and Mel, my wife Mel, went with us at this one. And we rode around trying to find. We finally found I think it was a Burger King, and so we stopped and ate there. And then we found that we had this Garmin, Steve's Garmin, like the Garmin that gives you directions how to get. And when we actually broke the Garmin trying to find the club again, so we get back there for the show. So what happened was after that we got back, played the show. Well, the Hungry Zombie come up to me and said, "You guys ain't playing enough Southern rock. Why ain't
Lord.
you guys playing Southern rock? You guys need to play Southern rock more like AC/DC." What? Southern rock? Oh, I guess AC/DC, what, Southern Australia? But, you know, and it was a trip, man. I mean, it was like, well, I didn't, you know, I don't run the band. You need to talk to this man. And I pointed, he went over there, and Monty Hall booked us a lot. Shout out to Monty.
Nice man.
Yeah, and but yeah, and what happened was the Hungry Zombie got so freaking drunk that he ended up being very obnoxious. And by the end of while we were at the end of the gig and we were loading our gear back into the van after the show, his bouncers, he got his own ass beat in his own parking lot by his own bouncers. That's how annoying
my.
this guy was.
I'm very shocked that my father didn't have something to say. He had quite the temper.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, being in that, having it, it's a job, you know, he couldn't do that. But I have known him to show out, you know, if, you know, somebody come at him. But yeah, I mean, that don't make any sense. You have a party, you have food, but you know.
Yeah, well, you know,
I've heard stories of on the road, and a lot of times as a kid, you know, the bartender was my babysitter.
yeah,
My mom would go with my dad back in the 80s. He stopped really playing around Hickory a lot. But I did want to mention, you know, my father was a mentor to many musicians in this area, and him and just a handful really opened the door to live music, like on the square and these clubs, because, and even in restaurants now, you didn't hear of that back in the 80s. They didn't have live music at restaurants, you know, and he really uh, went to bat for that kind of thing. And he did a lot of charitable work too. I mean, but he was humble in that, you know, you didn't hear him brag about it. He just did it.
he just did it. Yeah.
He just did it. And, you know, if everybody was his friend, if you made an enemy with my father, then you had to do something pretty bad. You know?
You did. And you know, I seen Terry. I seen your dad get his temper going a couple of, maybe a few gigs.
Yeah,
I seen, and I always called him when he turned his temper on. I always called him the angry stork because he was tall anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, what, 6, 7, almost 7 foot about, but not that much. But he was taller than I was. And
I think it's just he was all legs. He really was not. I think it was like 6'1", 6'2", but he was just all legs.
He's all legs, man. And I said, oh, hell. I said, here comes the mad storks coming out of him, man. He'd start stomping around. And I remember that one time they told us we couldn't play inside. And there was these tornadoes coming. And no, you can't play inside, outside only. And it was like, dude, there's tornadoes. Look at on the phone. Look at the weather. There's tornadoes.
Did he play it?
No. And what happened was Terry, your dad, he went. And Steve, a little story about that. Steve used to be a cook in some of these, like a restaurant. But Terry said, you know what? He said, you know how many places I've played like this? Thousands of them. He said, you guys ain't nothing. He said, we're going to pack our shit up and we're getting out of here. He said, what are you, a bunch of cooks? He said, sorry, Stevie. Stevie's like, no problem, Terry. You know, so,
well, and you know, that's the thing about Dad too. You know, I was thinking about Steve. like he became this father figure to all these younger ones, and he gave them guidance, not just with the music, but life, because he'd made his mistakes in life and he wanted people to learn from it. I mean, um, what I find remarkable about my dad, the last 3 years he lived, that especially that last year, laying all those tracks with my daughter, I didn't even know they were doing it. Okay. Until right before he passed, I heard the one song and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't even know they were working on it. And he used that time to, kind of mentor people and give guidance. And he worked with Ashton. And Ashton would have been a fantastic singer. She got into Juilliard and she just wouldn't leave my dad. She would not.
Right.
And I'm elated because I mean with her voice with his and I know that you took the bar up raising her voice to his, and when I heard it I'm just like, it's amazing. That is such a gift to have. And the music has been such a big part of me, and most people don't understand people that's into the music. They'll listen to it and they love music, but they don't have the love that somebody that performs it or grows up in a music studio like me. It's a passion. It's a part of you.
And you've probably heard these songs millions and millions of times.
Yes, I have. But I still have the appreciation for them, and like I said before, it's every song is an event of Dad's life, so it's just like this long story. And I think my son's favorite is Mother's because Dad's music touches on so many different subjects. You got what's happening in the world, love, life, relationships, um, how to live your life, like coming to a crossroads. There's so many different kind of lessons in the songs. And one thing I just like to mention that is great, I think, there is no profanity in my father's music at all.
No,
Not
there's
at
not.
all. I've
No,
I've never heard any lyric with
no,
song with
there's
none
not.
of it.
No. Okay, Melanie. We are going to track volumes 1 and 2 tonight. I'm gonna. I know that what we decided to do is do the interview, and then but I do want you to give some insights on the tracks, and then I'll let you go before we play the songs, before we play the
Absolutely.
album. But let's go ahead, and I'm gonna tell everybody the track listing, and let's go ahead, and I'm gonna let you elaborate on these tracks, what you know of, because I figured the best way to do that is because it would be you, because Terry more than I
That
mean,
was his little
yeah,
sidekick.
yeah, exactly. So let's go through volume 1. Track 1 will be Katrina. Tell us about that one.
Katrina was one of Dad's girlfriends, and she was a very sweet lady. And I think she brought out a gentler side to Dad, and that's why he wrote this song because, you know, to mention a woman in a song, you had to really make an impact on my father. Um, Katrina is just about, I guess, the relationship he had with her. And unfortunately, she lost her son and she moved away. But, she had a profound effect on my dad, and he always cared for her. And I think that's what that song's about, the relationship that they had.
Okay. See, I see that there's things that I don't know, and I'm
Mhm.
glad we're having you here tonight to elaborate on this. Track.
Well, I was also Dad's confidant. He told me everything. Some things I didn't even want to know.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Uh,
Like if he wanted a girlfriend run off, he'd be like, "Mel, I don't want to deal with her anymore. How about you run her off?" Okay, Dad.
track 2 would be Goodbye Kentucky. This is also the
Goodbye,
single.
Kentucky. I believe my mother is from Corbin, Kentucky, and it's a very beautiful place there. And that particular song in the lyric, we're sitting on the old front porch. Well, my great grandmother's house was sitting up on a hill with a porch with a swing in it. And I think my father is talking about the simplicity and the beauty of that life. I mean, they heated with coal. They are very simple people. It's evolved more and grew now, but back then it was just more of the beauty and the simplicity of the time. And he really valued my mother's side of the family. He'd take me up there twice a year to visit my family, and I'm so grateful for that. Um, my uncles, he adored. It was, I think, it was just to pay homage to something that he felt was so beautiful, and that particular area is gorgeous. Right there at the porch, there's it's on a hill and a dirt road. There's a creek and one of the old wooden bridges at the end of the road. I mean, it was just pristine, something you'd see in a movie.
Right.
And I think he just wanted to pay respect to that part of life, because that's actually where I came from. My mother came from. So that's part of my history and part of his.
Sure. What about the third track we get into now? Is called "When You Hear the Birds Sing in Kentucky."
I feel like that's kind of a mix. I feel like that is about lost love and people moving forward. And I also feel like it's just kind of describing how your life is out on the road as a traveling musician. Um, I tend to like that song. I'll listen to it. Like I was telling you earlier, I like the lyric where it says, "Please don't cry. Our love is magic to the storm." And I feel like, my mother has told me this too. Um, my dad and her would say I was the best music they ever made. Both of them would say similar stuff, and they hadn't seen each other in years. I think that was more of a song of lost love and them going their separate ways, but they still loved one another, of course. And again, I think that was paying tribute to something a place and people he found beautiful. And that's the thing, sitting on that porch, all the birds would be in the trees. You could hear them chirping in the mornings. It was just a beautiful place.
I tracked this song during a tropical storm. Actually, it
Well,
wasn't.
that's interesting.
It wasn't. It wasn't a threat of like power going out or anything, but it was. It was.
I don't know. My mother might have put some rue on you,
It may
Mike.
have, but the wind was like. I mean, you could hear. So I hold up that day because I was like, I got to get this done. So
Yeah.
and it was like and I went through a couple things I wasn't happy with when I played the drums on this, and I was like, yeah, I got to come up with something. So I just said, we'll do something just so simple to make the song more like a story. Just be in the background, man. You don't have to really throw down. Just kind of, little accents is okay, but just kind of lay back and, kind of a relaxed, play on this. But the wind was brewing. I mean, you could hear it like
I
through
don't
the
know. Maybe you
windows.
did something wrong. Dad wasn't happy.
Maybe so, because believe me, there was me.
He can
Yeah,
be critical at times.
there's many times that I'm sitting here hearing your dad's voice in my head going, "Nah, that
I
ain't
do
right.
too.
That ain't right.
I
No,
hear
I don't
that
want to
lots
play it like
too.
that. No, I don't want to play it like that. No, I don't want to play it
Hmm.
like that." I could hear. I've had many of discussions with Terry
My
out
favorite thing was
there.
he'd look at you kind of crazy and be like, "Man, what are you doing?
Yeah,
What are
what
you
are you
doing?"
doing, man? Yeah. That's a good song, though. It turned out really well.
I think that's one of the most beautiful songs Dad did. It
it,
it, it was really pretty.
and nobody was harmed in the recording of "When You Hear the Birds Sing in Kentucky" during the tropical storm. So
That's great to
that's a
hear.
plus. Yeah. All right, we're moving on, Melanie. To this was a special one for you, I know. Number one, two, three, for number song number 4 is "Song of Love."
And like I said, this is one I didn't know they were working on until a couple months before Dad passed. Song of Love was written for Ashton, and my dad was terminally ill, of course. they did it together, and there's several versions, but um, and I really like the way you brought up her voice to his. Um, I think, you know, when you're terminal like that, my father wanted to do something for her, with her, and that would be something that you could keep forever. And that was why the song was created. But I feel like the song's meaning is more about, you know, the world's got really complicated. And I think, you know, when you're sick like that, you go back in time when there was, life was just a lot simpler. And, you know, in there, it's like, whatever happened to the hippies and the girls with flowers in their hair? Because, you know, we become such a digital age and things are just very complicated now and not, you know, basic. And I think that's something that he was talking about in that song. But um, he always in his music, I think he wanted to touch on something that would resonate with people. And A Song of Love was something that I think, and I think my family does too, with him and Ashton being passed away, is just truly a gift. And if you listen to the words, it really is powerful, you know.
Right. And
And it's
Ashton,
something for my granddaughter Clarabelle to have of her mother.
right.
And I love that.
And Terry passed away in 2017. Ashton
Hmm.
passed away when?
June 28th, 2021.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Our condolences to you. I know it's hard. I know it's been hard for you.
It is.
Um,
I live by faith.
right,
And I have a
yeah,
good family. I'd like to say that I have a lot of good family. And
right.
the musicians in my life, they come visit me more than anybody.
Well, good, good.
I mean, they were family growing up with me too. So
Yeah,
they were like my uncles and moms and aunts and all, and sisters.
right. Let's move
I
on.
met a lot of great people along the way.
Oh, that's great. That's really good, Melanie. I'm glad to hear. And right quick, I'm glad that most of your dad's friends got a lot of his equipment.
Hmm.
Gene Poole, for instance, getting the drum kit. That's great. I'm
Right.
glad to hear that. That's a nice drum kit too. It's a Yamaha series Yamaha
Well,
custom series.
Gene was one of the ones that started off with Dad and Danny Reed. That was their
That
first
was his
band.
first drummer. Yeah,
And they've remained lifelong friends. And
nice.
I grew up actually with Gene's son, but Gene is a great, great, great guy. And I think a lot of people miss Dad because I think of him and Ashton like they're just this beacon of light. They just brought out some good in people, and people like was, you know, gravitated toward them, and they could bring out a good. And with Dad, he could put a positive spin on just about anything.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that was a great part about him. He could put a positive spin on most any situation.
right. Track number 5 we go to, and this is Summer Flowers.
That's one of my favorites as well. Um, I think Summer Flowers. Me and Dad always loved summer. I think Summer Flowers is kind of a metaphor for the changes in your life. I really think that because if you listen to the words, it just and if I'm not mistaken, and it mentions the green eyes, I think that was my stepmom was mentioned that was kind of toward her, but I really think that song's about transition and growth and change, things changing. It's a metaphor.
Okay. Track 6 was the final track on volume 1, and that's It's You Girl.
Now I really don't know much about that.
This must
I had
be
never even heard that song
I
till you sent it to
I
me, unless I've forgotten.
I think this was one of the last ones that your dad worked on. I think it
Hmm.
is. I think it's one of the very last ones that he did before he passed away.
Right.
Yeah.
I could kind of tell there was a weakness in his voice in that one. I
Yeah.
think he
Uh
wasn't as profound and vivacious. I
right.
think
And
when I
then
listened to it.
and he's kind of humming along to where there could have been some lyrics, but he was just kind of scatting
Yeah, he
that.
was suffering from early
Yeah,
dementia
but
as
he
well.
was,
So yeah,
yeah. So
things were limited, and I could tell that in the song. But it's still something to have,
well,
And it's kind of neat how he did it.
I
He
thought so
didn't give
too.
up.
That's why we kept it. That's why I went.
Hmm.
And as a matter of fact, this was the very first track that I tracked on drums out there.
Hmm.
I kept hearing Terry, 'cause I was like, man, this is really cool because I got this little cool thing I can do to this. And then I kept hearing Terry in my head, well, you'll get your chance. You'll get your chance.
Well,
Not,
and that's the thing. I don't think anybody else could have done it like you did and valued it as much as you. A lot of people came in, went in Dad's life, but it's the few that really find the value in what he did that I'm always impressed with.
yeah. And Richard J. Basinger plays my guest on bass guitar on this track. And Rich again, man, he did a great job on this
You did. I listened
bass
to some of the
dude. I
music
mean, he's
yesterday.
yeah, man, it's really
Mm.
cool. It's solid, very solid. That'd wear
And it's
me
hard to
out.
keep up with Dad. It
Yeah,
was. I
that.
mean,
Yeah, I mean,
he was like, it wasn't just like a particular straight rhythm. I mean, he would change up so much that for a bass player to follow that, you have to really be good at it.
oh man, and not only that, drummer too, man, because you gotta be
Yes.
running. And the thing about Terry, when we went live, we never went by a set list. He'd call them out,
Hmm.
and you better know real quick what he's gonna call out, and when he calls it out, you better. And the first three chords of a song, because a lot of things that he did started off with like a guitar before the drums came in. So you'd hear this and you'd know what it's going to be, and then we'd jump in, man, and hang on. That's the way we always did. I
Well,
mean,
like
never
that
necessarily.
YouTube video at Iron Thunder. I mean, I guess Dad was kind of being a smart aleck with Steve and Grey Glass, which I adore Grey Glass and Steve to death. But I mean, they were trying to learn it, and they couldn't follow Dad like he wanted, and so he just let them take over. He just takes his hand out like that, and they're just looking, and they keep going though. So I mean,
Yeah,
he kind of put him on the spot, but they did a pretty good job.
they
And I
did.
don't know if you were there that night or not, but
Yeah, I was there. That was
I
one of.
mean, he just takes his hand and he's like,
Yeah,
you know, show me what you got.
I think that was my third gig with your dad,
Hmm.
Iron Thunder and Hickory. Yeah. Let's move on to volume 2. And track 1 off volume 2 is Everything Has Changed. Now, before you get into this, Melanie, I'm going to say this. I found this up. This is originally is on Angeline, Terry's first album. It's just called Everything. I didn't know that till I looked at his first
Hmm.
album. But I found this version, and this is a totally different version than what was on Angeline. So I decided, well,
Right.
let's go ahead and do this and let's put this on the album. So yeah, everything has changed. You want to talk about that?
I just think that still goes back to, Dad was a 60s kid as a teenager. And I think, you know, he grew up in that time. So he's hippie and stuff. And I think, he just longed, and maybe he redid that song for that reason. He longed for the simpler time, where things weren't as complicated, and the violence in the world, and famine and things like that. Those are things that really bothered my dad. Just watching the news, he'd get aggravated. i
No.
think I think and it's the passing of time too. You're getting older. Your children are grown, your grandchildren are grown. I think he redid that song because everything had changed for him, and he knew his time was limited, so he wanted to do that, redo it.
Yeah. Track number 2 off volume 2 will be Gypsy Woman.
Gypsy Woman is definitely about my mother. I was told this story when they first met. I asked my mother why she fell in love with my dad. She said he had a bottle of wine and cheese in the refrigerator and he played acoustical guitar for me all night. My mother would get up and do belly dances for dad and all his friends while he played the acoustical guitar. So Gypsy Woman, and my mother has very dark brown eyes. Gypsy Woman is all about my mother.
Okay.
And she is truly a gypsy. I mean, she's traveled and the clothing and the disposition. She is she's the embodiment of a gypsy. She's free spirited. I mean, and I think that goes back to that lost love. I think that both of them were too alpha to be together, but the love was always there still.
All right. Track number 3 is Name.
See, I don't know name.
Yeah, Name is a. Okay, I will elaborate a little bit. This is basically an acoustic. Now, when I discovered this one, Melanie, this had a click track. Like he wanted to put, like, I don't know if he's going to put drums in it or whatever, but I decided no, this does not need any drums. This is fine the way it is. So I mixed it to where it's just him and his acoustic and him singing, and I thought that would be. And by the way, the title track is in the lyrics of this song. Name
Hmm.
Silence is the Lonely Friend. Yep. So
Well, and I think maybe that's. I think music's just an expression, and maybe he was in his feelings and just did it just because he wanted to. I mean, no real definition. He just wanted to do it.
track number 4 on volume 2 is Never No Name. Never Know Enough. I'm sorry, Never Know Enough. Yeah.
And I really think that's a good one because he wrote that in the early '80s, and that one's been redone so many times. And that goes back to general life. You don't know enough. In the lyrics, you don't know enough about women or children. I mean, we never stop learning. And that was a big thing for my dad, like education, learning, growth, um, paying attention. I think that's just saying, we don't know everything about life. We're kind of like, as he would say, we're feathers blowing in the wind.
Right.
You just don't know.
You don't know. Track number 5 on volume 2 is Butterfly Blue.
Now, see, I don't know a lot about that one. I really think that he was working on these things. Like I said, I didn't know all he's working on. I really believe some of those songs were therapy for him.
This is one of the heavier hitters
Hmm.
that I think, and I really enjoyed creating a drum track for this. I just wanted, like I say, lay back and because there's a nice lead that Terry does in this song. And it's just blistering. I mean, I like the way he does it, and I was like, lay back and accommodate, this, and just do a little couple of fills, and there at the end, do a little bit of a thing. But I really enjoyed this. Is one of my favorites. One of my
Hmm.
favorites, I might add. But yeah, Butterfly
Well, a
Blue.
lot of the songs, I mean, there's references to each member of my family. There's
Right.
references to my grandmother, my sister, my mom, my stepmom, me, my brother, you know, and a lot of times he'd start off just playing his acoustical and just uh my brother say something or one of us say something and he base it off that and just write a whole song on it. I mean,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now, track number 6 on volume 2 is the closing track, Morning Sun.
Morning Sun is actually my Indian name. I'm going to bet that song is about me because of me having the Indian name, and also there's a painting I have here that has my name and Morning Sun on it. Um, I was sitting on the beach as a child. I was about 2 years old under an umbrella. It's the painting of that. And on the back of it, my dad wrote Morning Sun and my name and the year. And it says Dad loves you on it. So I would say that's a description or depiction of me. I don't know. That song was written in the early '80s too.
That's
My mother says I was my dad's muse.
yeah.
So,
That's
but
how
everybody was his muse.
that's how long that song is. I mean, because I know that he presented it to us at one time, couple times, and we kind of digged on it, but we never did that one live. But yeah, that
That's
morning
probably the
sun,
real personal songs he
yeah,
left in the studio. He really didn't perform. But yeah, I believe Morning Sun was a song about me. And, there's songs about my sister and my brother, like I said. He just he based his music off his life, and what's going on. The amazing part about Dad was how he balanced his music career and working in the studio and still tried to have time for us and be a dad. That was, I mean, he wasn't perfect, but I mean, he really tried to separate the two,
right. Well,
especially
Melanie,
with my brother and sister. With me, I loved the music. I was in there, you
right,
know.
yeah, exactly. Melanie, we're getting ready to play the album, both volumes in its entirety, all the way through.
I'm
Uh,
ecstatic.
and so Uh, and I know you. I've really enjoyed having you here for the interview tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Um,
And I hope that we can relaunch the other music as well.
uh,
I mean,
yeah, the first two CDs.
hmm
Yeah,
I would really like to work on that as well because um, I think now with everything being so digital, people don't do the CDs and everything, and you have to go on those music platforms now, and it's a good way to get the music out there as well as preserve it for not just my family, but friends of my father and people who looked up to him and cared for him. I think it's a good way of remembering him and a good way of remembering Ashton. Like I said, I'm going to shout out to my granddaughter Clarabelle. I'm so happy that you did this, Mike, because the preservation of this music means she can have a little part of her mom, and I'm glad about that. And I'm so grateful to you and Richard for the work you put in and all the musicians over the years that helped Dad to become who he was. And he really died a musical legend.
yeah, my honor. It was all my honor. It was honored to do so. It really was. And
Oh, he loved you a lot. Don't ever doubt that. If he didn't love you, you wouldn't have been around. That's what he used to tell us. So,
I
I mean, if
loved
he
him.
didn't see something in you, you wouldn't have been around,
I loved
but
I loved him too, Melanie. You know I did. And
and the music, just music, I could have kept that stuff locked away. But music and art are to be shared.
I will
And
say,
that's what I want to do with the world is share that beautiful part of my dad
your
and
your
my
dad.
brother and sister. I mean, my sister has children, grandchildren, and I do. And my brother has a daughter. I mean, these are things that, you know, helps us to heal, and it's the beautiful part of my dad. And I'm just elated that we could do this, and I know you guys put in a lot of hard work, and I'm very grateful.
Your dad took care of me. Took care of me. There
Hmm.
were many times he didn't get any money because he paid the band. He paid us too. He'd skip
Well,
out
I
on
know he
getting
quit
paid.
the Doobie Brothers because they was mean to their roadies.
Yeah, I remember that. Your dad's played with a lot of different people. I remember him telling me he jammed with some of the Outlaws at one time.
Hmm. He played at Richard Petty's birthday
Yeah, I
parties. I
was at
mean,
that one. Yep, yep.
but I mean, like I said, they were all his friends. They weren't celebrities. They're just
They
his
were just
buddies.
his buddies. That's the way
Hmm.
Terry was.
He was. He's easy going most of the time,
Most
unless
of
he was mad. But
the unless you ran into the
um,
hungry zombie, do you?
I remember you saying something. Now these are going to be on YouTube, and you have to subscribe.
Yep, this will be on YouTube Monday. The both
Okay,
volumes will be. To now it
I'm
is.
just putting that
Yeah.
out there for people that's following
Yes,
this on
I
my
will. I
page.
will put the links up Monday when they're available on YouTube. after the show tonight, I'll also put the links up to my Bandcamp site, which you can get it there now. That I made it available now during the show. So I'll be sure to make those announcements on my Facebook after the show tonight. So definitely.
And hopefully this is not the end. We can work on some others, Like I said, I've got reel to reel stacked up in the building. It's hard to tell what kind of music's on there. I mean, I remember being a kid and he just always was working on something.
All the time. Yeah.
He would just jot down ideas and things. So this is just probably the tip of the iceberg.
Yep. You never know, Melanie. You never know. Let me get about a 4-month nap after this one.
Yeah. Yeah, you can hibernate for the winter and kind of work on stuff. Yeah.
Well, I got to get busy. I got some other projects I'm working on now too that I'm excited about. But yeah, a nap.
But there's no better way than you honoring Dad this way, Mike. And I think a lot of people have a great respect for you that you took the time to do this and put all this work into it. And I think that he'd be very proud of you on that you put your heart and soul in it. I mean, and many musicians put their heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears into the music. And it's a part of them as much as it is a part of me.
Yeah, it was definitely definitely an experience and a lot of fun one at that. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as you said.
It was. I mean, it was. It's not.
And me and Terry went round and round in spirits of discussion with his spirit out there in that studio when I was tracking this.
Yeah, he. But with the music, he was a perfectionist. He wanted it just the way he envisioned it in his mind. So,
right. And I kept hearing him, I don't want you to play it like that. I want you to do it like this and just lay back. You know how your dad was.
And I just encourage people to go to YouTube. There's videos already up, but just to watch him play. They called him Lightning. The technique he had, I have never seen anyone, and he literally feels that music. It's just like it's pouring through him. Yeah. It's something to see. It's just like it was. He was meant to do that. Right. He was meant to do that.
All right, Melanie, I appreciate you being here tonight. I'm on.
Thank you so much for having me.
I thank you, and we'll be in touch with you. And I'll put those links up, and we're recording the show as well, so I'll get that to you as well sometime tomorrow.
Well, you have a good night, Mike, and thank you for everything.
Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate it.
Stay cool.
You too. Take care. All right. That was Melanie Eckard, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, man. A lot of fun, and man, it's good to see Melanie again. I hadn't seen her in a long time. So right now, we're going to give you a little treat now. We're going to spin volumes 1 and 2 all the way through. Silence is a Lonely Friend. And I'll do the track listing and all that after we get done. I'll even elaborate on a couple of things too, maybe if we have time. So right now, without further ado, here it is. Volume 1 of Silence is a Lonely Friend, Terry Eckard.
other side of the mountain, where I call my home. Don't need no westward wind, I know where I belong, and I can hear you calling me. Just gotta say goodbye, Kentucky. Sure hate to go. Goodbye, Kentucky. You know I loved you so. Goodbye, Kentucky. And you'll go back home. Goodbye, Kentucky. Here's where we go. I guess it was the sunset sinking through the trees, or maybe it was your eyes and the way they looked at me. and I can hear you calling me. Just gotta say goodbye, Kentucky. Sure hate to go. Goodbye, Kentucky. You know I love you so. Goodbye, Kentucky. And your cold black nose. Goodbye, Kentucky. Here's where we fall. I guess it was a sunstroke singing through the trees. Or maybe it was your eyes, the way they looked at me. Just got to sing that song. I see by the tears in your eyes, I must be already gone. Please don't cry or say goodbye. Our love is much too strong. When you hear the birds sing in Kentucky, I'll be singing in Tennessee. It won't be so very long. You'll be hearing my song. Someone sometime, girl, it's you got in my mind. It's always raining out on the highways. Long lonely nights, long lonely days. In a deep blue sky, on a note by your window, I float. When you hear the birds sing in Kentucky, I'll be singing in Tennessee. It won't be so very long. You'll be hearing my song. When you hear the birds sing in Kentucky, I'll be singing in Tennessee. And it won't be so very long. You'll be hearing my song. Does it break your heart to hear the children cry? And don't it make you mad? A politician's lie. Does it give you hope to see the stars above? Whatever happened to the hippies' song of love? Song of love. And in the morning light, when everything's alright, and the sun shines so warm in your heart, you look inside to see if you're still there. Whatever happened to the girls and the flowers in their hair? There are those that have marched in the streets, carrying signs, love and peace, waiting for a sound from above. Whatever happened to the hippies' song of love? Song of love. Song of love. Song of love. through my eyes. I don't believe this world. It's full of sadness and empty-hearted girls. And look and see what you done to me. Whoa. The flames of fire burn old memories. Winter's coming on. Summer flowers are gone. Through my eyes, I don't believe you, girl. I really like blue eyes and hair full of swirl. Look and see what you done to me. Whoa. The flames of fire burn old memories. Winter's coming on. Summer flowers are gone.
Well, it takes time for me to get to know you, and it takes time for me to get to show you that I love you, that I love you, that I love you, pretty baby, pretty girl. You don't always get the candy, you don't always win the world. There's everything that I want, it's you, girl. It's you, girl. On some sunny day, when love comes your way, and you'll find a butterfly flying way under me, and the sunshine, and the sunshine, pretty baby, pretty girl. You don't always get the candy, there's anything that I want, it's you, girl. You, girl. It takes time for me to get to know you, and it takes time for me to get to show you how I love you, that I love you. You know I love you, pretty baby, pretty girl. You don't always get the candy, you don't always win the world. If there's anything that I want, it's you, girl. Yeah, you, girl.
That's Volume 1. Silence is a Lonely Friend. That track right there is You Girl. Thanks to Richard J. Basinger for the bass guitar. Yeah, man. Now we move on to Silence is a Lonely Friend, Volume 2.
First time that I saw you, blinded by them sparkles in your eyes. First time that I saw you, I was blinded by them sparkles in your eyes. Right now, lies. And everything has changed since I fell for you. Nothing stays the same. You're wild eye blue. Everything has changed since I fell for you. Nothing stays the same. And you're wild eye blue. Got a sweet love for you, baby. It goes deep down, way down in my heart. Got a sweet love for you, baby. It goes deep down, way down in my heart. Way down. And everything has changed since I fell for you. Nothing stays the same in your wild eye blue. Everything has house I built for you. Nothing stays the same in your world of blue. From nowhere a caravan around the campfire light. Lovely woman in motion with hair as dark as night. Her eyes were like that of a cat in the dark that hypnotized me with love. I love you, gypsy woman. I love you, gypsy woman. She danced around and round to a guitar melody. Lovely woman in motion, how she enchanted me. Oh, how I wanna hold her close to me and kiss and forever whisper in her ear. I love you, gypsy woman. I love you, gypsy woman. And all through the caravan, she was dancing with all the men, waiting on the rising sun, and everyone was having fun. I hate to see the lady go, knowing she'll never know that I love her. Yes, I love her. Gypsy woman, I love you, gypsy lay on her shoulders. Like rivers on the mountain, and a love with her. It's a color changing fountain, and the picture she keeps painting somehow turns me to blue. And it's a hard life when you got no love to give. Someone stole your sensibility, and who can you blame? You don't even know the name, the one who gave you your creativity. Although the sun shines on her, there's still clouds in the sky, and pretty words never spoken. Spread their wings, away they fly, and there she sits, so uninspired again. Silence is a lonely friend, and it's a hard life when you got no love to give. Someone stole your sensibility, and who can you blame? You don't even know the name, the one who gave you your creativity. And who can you blame? You don't even know the name. You can never know enough about women. You can never know enough about love. You take a trip all around the world, you see all kinds of girls. You take one by the hand, she just might be the one that understands. You can never know enough about children. You can never know enough about the games they play. You take a trip all around the world, you see all kinds of girls. You take one by the hand, She just might be the one that understands. You can never know enough about living. You can never know enough about life. You take a trip all around the world. You see all kinds of girls. You take one by the hand. She just might be the one that understands. Found a little butterfly as blue as the sky, with just a touch of gold. I knew I had to hold my butterfly, fly away with me. Every time I reach for her, she managed to slip away, taking my breath away from me. How can I make her stay? My butterfly, fly away with me. rest down on my feet. My butterfly, fly away with me. Yeah. My You find a dream you wanna be. You reach for her, she sets you free. All her love you find in hand. You reach for her, you take all you can. And the morning sun too soon falls tonight. Well, ain't that just like me? Well, ain't that just like life? You're in your castle somewhere on an island in the sky. You're in your castle somewhere on an island in the sky. And in the shadows of some misty morning, you find your dream has come true. And tomorrow is longer than today. With our love, we can fly away. And the morning sun too soon falls tonight. Well, ain't that just like me? Well, ain't that just like life? You're in your castle somewhere on an island in the sky. You're in your castle somewhere on an island in the sky.
There you got it. There it is, babies, all the way through. The new Terry Eckard, Silence is a Lonely Friend, Volumes 1 and 2. That track, Morning Sun. Man, it's been a year. A year went into this, man, like I said. And it's just great to do. It was great to do, a great experience. And I want to thank everybody that helped me out, man, you know. It's really great. But, yeah, I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. And, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. A little bit of information for you on the last two tracks, which was Morning Sun and also, not Butterfly Blue, but Morning Sun and Gypsy Woman off of Volume 2. Those were tracked by the drums. Those were tracked with only 4 mics. I had a Sennheiser on the kick, and I had 2 Audio-Technicas as overheads and an Audio-Technica on the snare. And those two, I thought, come out really well as far as being able to mix those. I did, and put a lot of work into that. The other ones on this one, on Volume 2, would be exactly 6 mics, which would be the Sennheiser on the kick, 1 rack tom with the Audio-Technica, and a floor tom with the Audio-Technica. Audio-Technica on the snare, and 2 Samson overheads, which would run in stereo. Yeah, I mean, I learned, like I said, man, I'm learning a lot. I did a lot of the Andy Johns method on the drums with the first round of tracking, simply because I didn't have all the mics yet at the time. And then I upgraded and got some more. And I even upgraded lately and got some more. Never can have enough mics, I suppose. But yeah, just a little information on those tracks. Another little info on Volume 1. I believe Katrina, I didn't mess with that song. That was mixed by Terry. That was performed by Terry, mixed by Terry. I didn't see anything need to do with it. All I did was send it to Richard, and he mastered it. So we didn't do any drums or anything or any kind of tweaking on the mixing on that. We just left it alone and sent it to Rich. Let's see. Of course, when you'd hear the bird singing Kentucky on Volume 1, I did track that in pretty much a tropical storm. Oh, crazy, crazy. Song of Love, that was awesome. That one took a while because I was kind of lost of what to put there on this track, and I just kind of went with the flow, and that's what happened. And it turned out a pretty good track, actually, I think. Let's see, and of course, It's You Girl, Richard J. Basker. I can't say enough. Tremendous job on the bass guitar, man. You just rocked that one out of the park, brother. Gypsy Woman, I said that was only 3 mics. Also, a little note, I got a little influenced by Tank. Yep, Tank Van Duel from Temple Switches on Song of Love. There was a thing there, and I remember seeing when a video of Temple Switches in the studio, and I remember seeing David White doing a little floor tom with the mallets, making a little fills there, recording for a track. So I kind of got that idea from them, Temple Switches on Song of Love, where the little like a little drum roll there with the Song of Love, that's where I got that idea from. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun to do this, and I want to thank again Melanie for being able to let me do this. The album is now available at Bandcamp, MikeSherrill.bandcamp.com. It will be on YouTube Monday. And we'll be sure and put the links there out there for you there as well. Let's go ahead right now, man. I'd like to get in and thank everybody. I would like to thank everybody for being here tonight. And let's go ahead, man. What is going on here? Let me see what's going on. There we go. Hey, we gotta have the dungeon, babies. We got to get in touch with everybody, see how everybody's doing, babies. Yeah, all the music is copyrighted by BMI as well. Thank you, Melanie. Yep, all the music of Terry's music is copyrighted by BMI as well. Want to get in here and say hello to everybody. Yes. I want to say hello to 01 Ella. I want to say hello to 8HVDES, Alyssandra, another TV viewer, Commander Root, Darren VB2022. What's up, Darren? What's up? Good to see you, man. Drapsnat, Mr. Eric J. Comfort, Mr. EC. What's happening, man? Kata Lurks, Morning Sun. That's Melanie. Melanie, hello. And like I said, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to do all this. And we're going to have us a nice record. Yeah. So, yeah. Musicato, what's up, man? Richard J. Basinger, what is up, Rich? And like I said, man, I cannot thank Rich enough for the mastering and the bass playing on this You Girl, man. This is great. And the mastering job is just tremendous. Thank you again, Rich. It means a lot to me, man. It really does. And I had a lot of fun working with you. Stuffer, Mr. Stuffer White, light without heat, man. Stuffer 410. What's up, Stuffer? It's good to see you, bro. Yeah, man. I'll say hello to Tank Van Duel, Mr. of Temple of Switches, Tank Van Duel. Yeah. And I'll say hello to Mercy and Ziggy. Also, hello to Michael Bershner, who was in here earlier. Also, Silver Mountain Man. Did I saw you? I saw you earlier. I did. Anyway, man. Tell you what, man. Let's go ahead now and I'll do this right now. I'll close the dungeon. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do, man. And this is actually, like I said, and I don't want to, keep going with this, but I'm proud of it because it's the very first thing I ever produced, engineered, and mixed of somebody else's music. Never done that before. I was scared shitless. But I thought it turned out pretty okay, man. So, yeah, man, it's available, like I say, mikesherrill.bandcamp.com for today. And Monday it will be available on YouTube. Now, I tell you what I'm going to do. I want to say hello to everybody over at House of Prague as well on Thursday evenings. Thank you guys over there at House of Prague. Thank you everyone over there too on Thursday. Now, I think what I'm going to do, since we're celebrating the life and music of Terry Eckard, I'm going to take you back to the first album, Angeline. This is the one we did live. This is part of a trilogy. Yep, this is part of a trilogy. It's actually a pretty long. This is a long track in itself, but the whole thing was like, I'd say about 40-something minutes long in total. But this is not. This is about 11 minutes long. Is it somewhere around there? This is one of them live ones, man, that we used to do all the time. As part of the trilogy. It's about 11:22. So, going back to the first album by Terry Eckard, it'd be a treat for most of you to hear because some of you haven't heard this. And like I said, we played this a lot live, man. So, yeah, check this out. This is off of Angeline. And this track is called $20 Bill / When You Love.
baby don't know what love is. She thinks love's a $20 bill. Oh, baby don't know what love is. She thinks love's a $20 bill. Every time she sees that Jimmy, he'll be gone. She'll be running on the hill. Love's a $20 bill. Don't know about love. Think love's a $20 bill. Take a long, long look before you make that final deal. You know I love you, but I just can't stay alone. You know I love you, girl, but I just can't stay alone. Let me be your little puppy till your big dog comes home. got myself a woman. She won't do me right. I got myself a woman. She won't do me right. She won't cook me no supper or give me good loving late at night. I'm gonna sell my old pickup truck and buy myself a long black shiny car. Sell my old pickup truck, buy myself a long black shiny car. Fill that tank up with gasoline and drive downtown to the lonesome bar. Sat down on that bar stool and drank way more than I should. I'm gonna sit down on that bar stool and drank way more than I should. And I ain't going back to that woman. 'Cause when you love somebody, you love somebody, you're supposed to treat them good. Treat them good. People telling me stories they think I don't understand. 'Cause my clothes were ragged and I was born a simple man. All the time in their lonely eyes, I can feel all their fears. They tell me I said it's been down through the years. So tell me how to deal with pain. I learned my lesson well. Say you don't need love. 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 Well, all your strangeness, I can tell it's not true. Why do you look away when I'm saying to you, well, you don't have to hold me, baby, no. You know somebody asked me. You don't have to be a fool just because love is real. But tell me how to deal with pain and learn my lesson well. Say you don't need love. 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 Well, you can't hide from danger, even though it might make you blue. Why do you look away when I say that I love you? You can't let me walk out that door and write about the things that should. How can you do me this way? You know my love makes you feel so good. Tell me how to deal with pain and learn my lesson well. Say you don't need love. Say you don't need love. When I was a little boy, had myself a dream. Had a big long front end on a big blue machine. Hair blowing in the wind, I got a pocket full of jack. Shades on my smiling face, my angels on the back. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheel hit on fire. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheel hit on fire. When time had found me, grown to be a man, fell in love for the first time with a 56 man. Well, headed down to Morgantown, down the Highway 9, looking for that party at that mountain motor sign. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheels will fire. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheels will fire. W.T.A.U's blue hurricane, it's a biker's dream. Blue tanks are full of juice, she's a majestic machine. Headed down Highway 9, that's a southern fact. Shades on my smiling face, my angels on the back. The morning sky's Carolina blue, the chrome is shining fine. My engine sounds like thunder, I'm gonna ride that yellow line. Smoke sparkle brightly in the burning sun. Well, I'm gonna keep on rolling until this road is done. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheels will fire. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheels will fire. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheels will fire. There's a rebel on the highway, and my wheels will fire. Young Rupert Gerald, he lived by the gun. Drinking and loving is all he ever done. Born Cherokee, he was headed for the coast. Running like a deer, you could hear him getting close. Please tell me which road to take. I don't wanna make no more mistakes. Please tell me which road to take. Help this outlaw to escape. Running wild, everything he did was wrong. The times had changed, he did not belong. So staying low, trying to get away. In the wind, you could hear the drums play. Please tell me which road to take. I don't wanna make no more mistakes. Please tell me which road to take. Help this outlaw to escape. Said he done the crime. Well, it don't matter, he could never do the time. The evidence, he had an Indian heart. He never did play the part. Please tell me which road to take. I don't wanna make no more mistakes. Please tell me which road to take. If this outlaw to escape. 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 If this outlaw get away.
Yes, that being as well from the album Rebel on the Highway. That track was called Outlaw. Played that one a lot live as well. Yeah. And before that was the title track to Rebel on the Highway, and the title track Rebel on the Highway. And if you go to YouTube, we played that a lot live too. If you go to YouTube, you will be able to see the cops shut us down. The cops shut the show down right when we was playing that song. Yeah, the people in the complex over there next to the Max Speed Shop where we played called the Fuzz, man. Talking about call the Fuzz. They called the Fuzz, and the Fuzz showed up, and it's right there on YouTube, the video and everything, where they shut us down. Yeah, yeah. I remember a lot of good times, man. And before that was Don't Need Love. That's off of Angeline, the first CD, Angeline. And we kicked it all off with off of Angeline as well, $20 Bill, When You Love, part of the trilogy of that by Terry Eckard. And that's going to do it, man. I had a blast tonight. Appreciate all of you, man, that tuned in to the show, to the premiere. Thank you, Rich. Thank Tank, Melanie, everybody, man. Bonzo, Eric, EC, Darren, oh, man, Mike B, all you guys, man. And I know I'm leaving some people out, but I want to thank all of you, man. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, man, we're going to be back next week with what do you call them, regular shows? Yeah, regular shows, man. That's it. We're going to be back then. And I got some new stuff next week, man. Some really cool stuff coming up. And also Richard J. Basinger premiere coming Saturday, September 2nd. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun as well. But I'll be back next week with the regular show, if you want to call them that or whatever. But, yeah, man, I want to thank everybody again tonight for tuning in as well. And like I say, man, the album, Silence of the Lonely Friend, Volumes 1 and 2, are now available over at mikesherrill.bandcamp.com. It will be available on YouTube Monday. Yep, Monday. So when you get up Monday morning, it'll be available there at YouTube as well. Thanks to my guest, Melanie Eckard. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be able to do this. Again, thank you, Rich, for mastering this album. And playing bass on one track, too, of course. Thank you all. And I tell you what, man, we're going to get Larry up in here, man. Where is he at? And stay tuned. I believe that on the House of Prague, yes, House of Prague, our great friends over there, and DJ Billy, gonna rock your socks off with some Analog Cafe coming up next. Meanwhile, on Twitch, I'll see you guys next Saturday. You got it, babies. Thank you all for tuning in, man. And we'll get Lawrence up in here. Until next time, we'll see ya.
Good night, until we meet.
That's the wrong button. Night, everybody, man. We'll take care. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.
You know you'll always remain in my heart. Good night, sleep tight, and pleasant dreams to you. Here's a wish and a prayer that every dream comes true. walk. I'll be there.